Welcome to another episode, Ibby El Pod. Usually when you picture a record-breaking pop group, you immediately think of the physical reality of it all, right?
Right, the flesh and blood humans on
Yeah,
stage.
exactly. You picture the sweat under the stadium lights, the adrenaline of a live crowd, the tangible presence of the artists connecting with the front row.
Yeah, that deeply traditional, very human model of a music star.
Right, but I want to throw a wrench into that image today for this deep dive, because what happens when you take that traditional model and you inject it with a heavy, just unapologetic dose of science fiction?
Well, you basically shatter the conventional ceiling of what a pop star can be. You stop asking what a musician can do in a recording booth, and you start asking what their digital footprint can accomplish across entirely virtual worlds.
It fundamentally blurs the boundary between flesh and
It
code.
really does.
It's almost like they're running a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but instead of movies, it's a pop group. The avatars are the CGI superheroes doing the impossible online, and the real-life members are doing the press tours and live shows.
That is a great way to put it, actually.
Today, for you listening, we are unpacking the K-pop sensation Aespa. And to really grasp what they're doing, you have to look at the blueprint, starting with the name itself.
Yeah, the name is super important.
It is. Aespa is a combination of the English initials for avatar and experience, making this avatar X experience concept paired with the word aspect, meaning two sides.
So the name basically operates as a mission statement right out of the gate.
Exact.
It represents the core philosophy of meeting another self and experiencing a completely new world.
And on the human side of that two-sided coin, you have four distinct members, right? Karina, Giselle, Winter, and Ningning.
Right.
But I have to stop you there for a second because the music industry is just littered with tech gimmicks that failed miserably. Like, remember the hologram craze a few years back?
Oh yeah, everyone thought holographic performers were the future.
Yeah, and it largely fizzled out into a cringe-worthy tech demo. So why didn't Aespa just become another failed experiment in virtual entertainment?
Well, mainly because they didn't treat the virtual element as an afterthought.
Right.
It wasn't just a cheap marketing stunt, Aespa didn't just casually introduce a sci-fi theme. They became the absolute pioneers of the metaverse concept in K-pop.
They went all in.
They did. They wove this highly complex digital narrative into every single piece of content they produced. And simultaneously, they dragged the experimental hyperpop genre into the mainstream.
Which effectively redefined what it means to be a global pop star in the 2020s.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because for you listening, I want you to imagine if your own digital twin, like a hyper-stylized virtual alter ego, was out there helping you conquer your industry.
That would be wild.
Right. Imagine your avatar is operating in the digital ether, and somehow the sheer magnetism of that digital entity translates to you topping the US Billboard charts in the real world.
It's crazy to think about.
But to understand the sheer scale of their global dominance now in 2026, we actually have to rewind to their origins, because they were born into an incredibly high-stakes pressure cooker environment.
Oh, absolutely. Context is vital here. So Aespa is a product of SM Entertainment, which is widely considered one of the foundational pillars that built the modern K-pop industry.
Total titan.
Yeah, a massive company. But prior to Aespa's debut in November 2020, SM had not debuted a new girl group since Red Velvet back in 2014.
Wow, 6 years.
6 years. Furthermore, they hadn't debuted any new idol group at all since NCT in 2016.
I understand SM Entertainment is huge, but I'm slightly confused. Why wait 6 entire years to launch a new girl group in a market that moves at lightning speed?
It's a huge risk.
And more importantly, why risk your massive, highly anticipated comeback on a bizarre sci-fi avatar concept? Wouldn't a traditional, safe pop group be a much smarter bet for their investors?
I mean, a traditional group would be safer, sure. But safe doesn't secure a legacy in the fourth generation of K-pop. The market had just become incredibly saturated by that point.
Right, everybody's doing the same thing.
Exactly. So SM Entertainment realized that to capture the imagination of a generation raised entirely on smartphones and video games, they couldn't just offer great choreography and catchy choruses.
They needed more.
They needed to offer a fully immersive universe. The 6-year gap meant the financial investment and the public expectations were just astronomical. The entire industry was watching to see if this massive gamble on virtual avatars would pay off or just tank the company's reputation.
Talk about walking a tightrope. But they completely stuck the landing. Their arrival in November of 2020 with the debut single Black Mamba was nothing short of explosive.
Huge debut.
They smashed the record for the highest number of views for a K-pop group's debut video in 24 hours. They hit 21.4 million views on day one.
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah. And the way they utilized the avatars in that video actually answers the question of how this metaverse lore functions in practice. The avatars don't replace the members.
Right, they exist alongside them.
Exactly. The music video features the human members dealing with a digital virus, the Black Mamba, that is threatening to sever the connection between the real world and their virtual counterparts.
What's fascinating here is that it established a tangible conflict within their lore right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Fans weren't just watching a music video, they were watching the first episode of a high-stakes sci-fi saga.
Like a TV show.
Exactly. And that momentum never slowed down. By May of 2021, they dropped Next Level, which just exploded in popularity, followed quickly by their first extended play, Savage, in October.
Which was massive.
Massive. Savage didn't just do well, it achieved a perfect all-kill on the South Korean charts.
Okay, I want to pause on that term, because perfect all-kill sounds like a finishing move from a fighting game. How do the mechanics of that actually work in the context of Korean streaming?
Right, it sounds intense. But it is the holy grail for a K-pop release. A perfect all-kill, or PAK, means a song has simultaneously hit #1 on the real-time, daily, and weekly components of all the major domestic music streaming platforms in South Korea.
Wait, all of them at the same time?
At the exact same time. Services like Melon, Genie, and Bugs. It requires complete unanimous domination of the general public's listening habits.
So not just the hardcore fans streaming it on repeat.
Exactly. It has to be everywhere. For a rookie group with a complex virtual concept to achieve a PAK is almost unheard of. Oh, and Savage also hit #20 on the U.S. Billboard 200 chart.
So the domestic and international appeal was just undeniably locked in. But I still have a lingering question about the musical credibility, you know. You can have the coolest lore in the world, and you can hack the streaming charts with a viral hit, but eventually the actual sonic quality has to stand on its own 2 feet. How did the music itself prevent the metaverse concept from feeling hollow?
Well, the brilliance of Aespa is that their music doesn't just awkwardly sit next to the digital concept. It actively mirrors the mechanics of a virtual world. They leaned incredibly hard into the hyperpop genre.
And what does that actually sound like to someone who has never heard it?
Imagine taking standard pop music and running it through an overdrive pedal until it starts to fracture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hyperpop utilizes exaggerated, glitchy, metallic, and highly synthetic sounds. It artificially constructs music that sounds like a supercomputer malfunctioning, but in the best way possible.
Like organized chaos.
Right. The production features heavily distorted bass lines, rapid shifts in tempo, and these masterfully layered vocals that sound simultaneously angelic and robotic.
That sounds intense.
It is. When critics praised tracks like Savage, they were highlighting how these chaotic, addictive hooks physically sound like the futuristic metaverse the group is singing about.
The medium perfectly matches the message. It literally sounds like the future.
Which is exactly why Time magazine labeled them an experimental but essential player in the music industry, acting as a crucial bridge between reality and the virtual.
But there's a ceiling to how much hype you can build exclusively on a screen, right? Like, if their whole core identity is wrapped up in being these untouchable digital goddesses, how do they survive the ultimate test of physical stamina?
You mean live shows?
Yeah, eventually you have to prove you can hold a live audience captive without the safety net of CGI and quick camera cuts.
Totally. And that leap from the digital realm to the global physical stage in 2022 and 2023 is where Aespa cemented their legacy. They had to prove their flesh and blood capabilities.
Right.
And that started with the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival in April 2022 as part of 88 Rising's Head in the Clouds Forever set.
You can't fake stage presence at Coachella. The desert heat, the massive crowd.
Well, it strips away all the digital polish.
Yeah.
But they thrived under that pressure. And they took that physical momentum straight to Japan in 2023, where they became the fastest K-pop artist and the very first fourth-generation K-pop act to hold a solo concert at the Tokyo Dome.
The Tokyo Dome is legendary.
It really is. We are talking about 2 days of special concerts in an incredibly prestigious, massive venue. And then shortly after, they flew back to the U.S. and became the first K-pop act to perform at the Governor's Ball Music Festival in New York City.
It really challenges the assumption that virtual groups only appeal to niche internet subcultures.
It shatters it completely.
And if we look at their album sales during this era, the paradox gets even deeper. In July 2022, they released their second EP, Girls. This broke the record for the best-selling album by a K-pop girl group in history at the time.
Yeah, their physical sales are insane.
They became the first to sell 1 million copies in just its first week of release. It also debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. I find it fascinating that a group whose entire brand relies on the metaverse and digital avatars was moving 1 million physical CDs.
I know, it sounds contradictory, but it speaks to the mechanics of modern K-pop fandoms. The physical albums serve as tangible anchors to the digital world.
What do you mean by anchors?
Well, fans aren't just buying a CD to listen to the music anymore. They are collecting photo cards, photo books, and exclusive packaging that physicalize their dedication.
Like physical merchandise for a virtual world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aespa provided a vast virtual universe, and fans rewarded them by purchasing the physical artifacts of that universe in record-breaking numbers.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If you look at their schedule during this era, their wildly diverse, real-world achievements start to look like a gamer trying to 100% complete a video game by doing every bizarre side quest imaginable.
Oh, for sure. The sheer variety of their appearances is staggering.
Exactly. I mean, in July 2022, they are delivering a speech and performing at the United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development.
That's a huge deal.
Right. But then, jump to November, and they are riding on a float celebrating women in STEM at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York.
Making them the first Korean girl group to ever perform at the parade, by the way.
Exactly. And then jump again to June of 2023, and they are standing on the pitcher's mound throwing out the first pitch for the New York Yankees against the Chicago White Sox. UN assemblies, Thanksgiving floats, and Major League Baseball.
It just demonstrates the immense scalability of their brand. Because their identity is rooted in bridging different worlds, like the real and the virtual, they can seamlessly integrate into wildly different cultural spaces without it feeling disjointed.
They fit in everywhere.
Yeah. Their physical dominance gave them the leverage to return to the digital world and completely take over the spaces their concept originally mimicked.
And the brand crossovers are truly where the lines get permanently blurred. Let's look at 2023. They provided a track for the Apple original film, Tetris.
Oh, that song is great.
The song was called Hold On Tight, a techno track that heavily sampled the iconic original Tetris theme song, which is actually a Russian folk song called Korobiniki.
Right, so they're taking a foundational piece of retro video game history and reconstructing it through the lens of modern hyperpop. But, their integration into digital spaces goes far beyond providing soundtracks.
They actively occupy those spaces.
Exactly. Take their virtual concert on the video game platform Roblox, which was held to celebrate Croc's 20th anniversary.
Okay, explain how a concert inside Roblox actually works for the fans participating, because I imagine it's pretty unique.
Oh, it is. It's not just a video stream of the group playing on a virtual screen. The fans log into the game as their own blocky avatars and enter a custom-built, neon-soaked Aespa environment.
So they are physically or virtually in the space.
Right. They can run around, interact with giant virtual versions of Karina, Giselle, Winter, and Ningning performing their choreography, and they can even purchase exclusive digital merchandise for their own avatars.
That is wild.
It's highly interactive participatory entertainment, and it drew 2.5 million visits, giving it the second highest attendance for a one-time Roblox concert.
2.5 million visits. That is a massive captive audience. And the gaming industry clearly realized the sheer financial power of blending these fandoms together. Because by 2025, Aespa was collaborating with some of the biggest gaming franchises on the planet.
They absolutely dominated the gaming space.
They partnered with the Battle Royale giant PUBG Battlegrounds, introducing in-game costume sets and lobby music. And that very same month, July 2025, they collaborated with the iconic fighting game Street Fighter 6. Adding Aespa-themed cosmetics into the game.
The mechanics behind these partnerships are highly calculated, too.
How so?
Well, gaming companies and K-pop agencies both cater to incredibly dedicated, deeply global user bases that are highly accustomed to microtransactions, whether that's buying a physical photo card or a digital character skin.
Right, it's the exact same consumer behavior.
Exactly. So by putting Aespa into PUBG and Street Fighter, you are cross-pollinating two highly lucrative ecosystems.
They quite literally became playable aesthetics in the games their avatars were inspired by.
It's full circle.
Yeah. And big tech wanted in on this synergy as well. A month before the gaming collaborations, in June 2025, they partnered with Apple to shoot the performance video for their single Dirty Work entirely on an iPhone 16 Pro.
It's just the ultimate validation of their tech meets art ethos. And we should point out that amidst all this massive corporate and digital integration, the individual members maintain their own unique artistic trajectories too.
Right, they aren't just cogs in a machine.
Exactly. The human talent never got swallowed by the brand. For instance, Karina won a Solo Music Show award for her track Up in October 2024, achieving this remarkable feat before she had even officially debuted as a solo artist.
That's incredible. So what does this all mean? At this point, are they a music group, a tech company, or a massive video game franchise?
Honestly, they have the convergence of all three. In the landscape of the 2020s, Aespa proves that a pop star doesn't have to choose between being a physical performer sweating on a live stage or a digital avatar living permanently in code.
You can be both.
The modern entertainment economy practically demands that you operate seamlessly across both realities.
I hear that, but I think there is a profound, almost poetic irony at the center of all this. They have this invincible avatar branding. They possess the digital perfection and the boundless, limitless energy of a video game character.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the engine running this massive virtual empire is fueled by 4 physical humans. Avatars don't need sleep, they don't tear ligaments, and they don't get sick. But humans definitely do.
It is the starkest vulnerability in their entire business model. The contrast between the limitless metaverse and human frailty is just undeniable.
We mentioned the historic milestone of them being the first K-pop act to perform at the Governor's Ball in 2023. But Giselle couldn't be on that stage. She had to miss the performance due to health issues.
Yeah, that was a tough moment.
And later that year, when they were promoting their English single Better Things with a web sitcom, Ningning could only film limited parts because of her own health conditions at the time.
It abruptly grounds the sci-fi fantasy right back in reality. You can construct the most visually stunning, expansive virtual world imaginable. But if the young women carrying the weight of that universe need to rest, the entire machine has to pause.
It's a really stark reminder of the immense physical toll the K-pop industry demands. And it's not just their physical limits that anchor them to the real world, it's their deliberate connection to real-world crises.
Oh, their charity work, yes.
Right. They haven't let the metaverse isolate them from actual human suffering. During their Los Angeles tour stop in early 2025, they announced they were donating proceeds from the show to the victims of the devastating Southern California wildfires.
And they followed that up in November 2025 by pledging 500,000 Hong Kong dollars to assist the victims of a tragic apartment fire in Tai Po, Hong Kong.
It's amazing to see.
It really is. They are actively utilizing the immense cultural and financial capital generated by their virtual endeavors to alleviate very tangible real-world tragedies.
Which brings us to where we are sitting right now, in July of 2026. Despite the grueling schedules and the physical demands, Aespa is currently operating at the absolute peak of their powers.
Without a doubt.
They are fresh off the release of their second studio album, Lemonade, which dropped back in May.
An album heavily bolstered by the massive pre-release track WDA, which stands for Whole Different Animal, and that featured a powerhouse collaboration with Big Bang's G-Dragon.
Yeah, that track was everywhere. And right now, they're gearing up to take over the stage at Lollapalooza in Chicago this August. They took a concept that could have easily been written off as too niche or too complicated or just a desperate marketing stunt.
And they turned it into a platinum-selling, stadium-filling reality.
Exactly.
Aespa started as a bold experiment in the Avatar X experience. But from breaking the 24-hour debut record with 21.4 million views, to moving millions of physical albums, to seamlessly integrating into global video game franchises, they proved the metaverse concept wasn't a fleeting gimmick.
It was a blueprint.
Exactly. It was a highly calculated blueprint for the future of pop culture.
They completely broke the machine that forced us to cleanly categorize artists as either physical or digital. They live right in the collision of those two worlds, and they dominate both. And it leaves us with a pretty wild question to chew on as we wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, it does. If a group can successfully weaponize the invincible, limitless potential of a virtual metaverse, while still deeply connecting with fans through their real human vulnerability, what does this mean for the future of entertainment?
Right, where does it go from here?
As technology accelerates, will every pop star of the future be required to launch a digital twin just to stay competitive? Are we watching the end of the traditional pop star and the birth of a unified stage where physical and virtual are no longer separate concepts?
It certainly makes you wonder who you'll be buying a concert ticket for 10 years from now, the artist or their avatar. Thanks for listening to PPL Pod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.